Hi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your PC to perform record music using MIDI or line-in instruments. So first up, there's a couple pieces of software that you need in this situation that aren't always clear. So you definitely need a DAW, a digital audio workstation. There are free, great open source ones, and there are one's reasonably priced and one's expensively priced, and there's a whole spectrum out there. Um, I use FL Studio. I paid for it, but you can swap in any other one. But before that, you need to control your drivers, your audio drivers, and there is this wonderful program which is Donationware that you can use called Voice Meter, and it comes in a couple different flavors. The most accessible one is probably called Banana, Voice Meter Banana, and so here it is on the screen, Voice Meter Banana. Um, it's got a bunch of sliders, so I'll just real quick go through. All of these three here are hardware inputs. I currently have hardware input 1 listening to my headset. And then over here are the virtual inputs. Think of these as like the actual things that connect to your audio output. So these are outputs, even though they say input. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But anyway, you got two of them. You got voice meter VAIO and aux VAIO. What I do is normally set my windows to the normal VAIO and then my DAW on the auxiliary. So an easy way to do that. Well, here, let me back up. First off, the first step you need to do is go and find Meter Banana. They have an official site. They have a slight misspelling in their name. There's two E's in meter. So you'll want to make sure that you're finding that one. Which it's vb-audio.com site, so that you can actually see. This is the domain. This is the full URL. Anyway, download this and install it. And when you install it, you also want to opt into the ASIO for all drivers. This is going to be important later, because the ASIO drivers allow you to manipulate and manage walking that thin line between the lowest latency you get without clipping or buffer underruns, which cause popping and glitching and clicking and desyncs and all sorts of stuff like that. So, all right. So you install all of that, and then you select. You have three A arrows here. Think of the A as standing for actual, and so these mean actual output 1, 2, and 3. I only have one set of outputs right now, although I could have two. Like my second one could be a Bluetooth speaker or my headset output speaker. For the time being, though, I have routed my audio to the ASIO for All V2 driver that I said to install, and then to get into the settings of that, you go to System Settings, and then there should be a button here, ASIO for All. Now, a couple of important changes that I made here. The buffering for ASIO in this panel, I've selected 352. Again, this is samples per second, so it lets me walk that fine line between low latency, and glitching and buffer underrunning. Don't want glitching, you don't want buffer underrunning, but you want the lowest amount of latency you can, and the only way to get there is to lower your samples per second. But if you lower that too much, you're going to have glitches. So 352 is what I found to work. So the next step is, even though you set this here, you then have to click the ASIO for all V2 under the main device. Click that, and it brings up the ASIO for all actual like panel. You'll probably start in simplified mode. Just go ahead and click the wrench down here to enable advanced settings. And then what you want to do is find the actual like physical audio output that you've connected to your speakers. I currently have a surround system that has 3 or 4 or 5 headphone out jacks, and it corresponds to 5.1 or 7.1 analog output. So I got my front pair of speakers, my rear pair of speakers, and I got my center and subwoofer. So anyway, you want to find your output that you actually want to use, and then you just want to make sure that it's there's 2 buttons here usually. There's like an on button and then a play button. Find the actual physical thing that's going to output the audio. For me, it's this Realtek HD audio output. Click that, and then there's a slider down here which dictates the buffer size. Make that match what you selected in the previous window. Mine is 352. So this slider lets you literally to the slide, like, do you want lower latency but want to risk glitches, or do you want no glitches but you're okay with a lot more latency? This slider is both. It lets you adjust your tolerance for that spectrum. Now I have a digital drum set and a MIDI keyboard set up, and at 352 I've been able to play the drum set like playing 16th notes at like 120 BPMs. There is a little bit of like calculation that I think my brain is doing to kind of shore up the last bit of it, but so far it seems very authentic. It's about 8 milliseconds of lag, which I think is below the human perceptible rate, at least for playing music. It seems like that. Anyway, so make sure the power button and the play button is enabled, and then also make sure that like the slider for the higher the parent object, like you see how you can expand this? So it'll probably start collapsing. You got to expand it and find the thing. Click this, drag the slider, then click this, this, and this. Drag the slider. Make sure the slider lines up. So now all of that's been set up. Now you can launch your DAW. Here's my DAW. I was already in progress making stuff. The red looks bad, but it just means those are the tracks I have highlighted. But in your DAW, you'll want to go to audio settings, and for your audio output device, you'll want to select the ASIO device for voice meter aux virtual ASIO. Okay? And what that does is any audio played through the DAW will show up in this channel. And then also make sure you have, for your virtual inputs, you have A1 and A1 selected in both. That means that anything that goes into those inputs gets routed to your actual output. For me, those are my speakers. So the speakers in the room are actually playing the music, or the sound when I hit the drum set, the digital drum set. You could also route this to your headphones if you want to be quieter. There's a lot of things. But anyway, you want to route both the standard and aux channels to A1. Ignore this B1 here. This B1, or the real short of it is, the B1 and B2 are another pair of virtual outputs, and they are actually what is powering my ability to mix all of this stuff and render it to Open Broadcasting Studio, OBS, and record this. That'll probably be a different video centered around how I capture and stream live recording. So, backing up just a little bit, the high points are install Voicemeeter Banana. And while you're doing that, install the ASIO for all drivers. Then launch your DAW, make your audio driver selection so that it's the Voicemeeter aux ASIO. And then that should really be the two things that connect all the dots. So if I play music here in my DAW, it should show up. So let's see, or you should hear it. All right, there you go. That's how you set up your PC to music performance. Yep. Go. Goodbye.